Welcome to the Teacher Squad podcast. We are at the end of spring term. It is episode 12 with Jane Considine and Heather Wright. What have we got for our last episode of this term, Jane?
Well, I'm talking about reading and the clear connections of the content and why it's really important to show this visually to children.
Fantastic. I'm going to be talking about a chance to shine.
Oh, and I feel a song coming on there. Go on, Heather, you hit me up with some glistering moments. I'm talking about curly girlies and girls with superpowers.
Oh, that's definitely us, Jane. Curly girlies with superpowers. I'm glad you talked about superpowers because I'm going to talk about green lumps of fluffy mould and cheesifying the world. But fear not, because SCP is on the way to save the day.
Oh, yeah. Let's cheesify the world. Bit of brie. Oh, love it. Great. Looking forward to this one, Heather. Excellent.
Let's get started.
So, Heather, you know that famous saying, mind like a steel trap? I've had to rewrite it to mind like a trapdoor because I just find it so hard to remember stuff. And I'm just kind of, that's going out, bigging up all the menopausal women out there who can't remember Jack. And I was renowned when I was on the staff team for the numerous unremembered things. You see, I can't even say the word forgotten, can't even remember it. But like playground duty, like there'd always be some moody person on the like pointing through at the staff room window. It's you, Jane, or it's swimming. You know, and you forgot to remind year 5 to bring their kits.
How can you forget swimming?
I didn't forget. I just forgot to tell the kids to bring their kits. That's not so helpful. And then even my teacher bestie, I remember their birthdays, but I'm a bit, dyscalcular. I'm a bit rubbish with numbers. But I did want to be grateful because I think my estrogen level patch is a bit bang on at the minute because I've been remembering so much at the minute. I went all the way to Cumbria for a rugby festival for my youngest lad who was in the Sedbra Tens tournament. And I had down, like, not just someone, the odd parent name. I had quite a few along the line, along the sideline. So that was good, weren't it? And
really
normally
good.
I'm
so bad at names.
Oh, I know. It is, and there's names of my generation. They're, I mean, yours got a bit more interesting, I think, but we've got a lot of Ians and Steves and Garys, and it's I don't know. They're not very.
Don't be offended if that's your name, guys.
Yeah, don't be offended. we love any listener, Gary. Thanks for turning up. But yeah. I also swapped my handbag to coordinate with my shoes, and I remembered to swap the office keys over. So that was a bit less tragic.
This is a lot of remembering, Jane, and I think everyone's just hoping to God that you remembered your bag this time.
Oh, yeah. I've been remembering things left, right and centre. But my friend, oh, God love her, she started a new job. It was a volunteering job. And I remembered to ask her how it was going. And she's volunteering, working with the sniffer dogs at the with the police. I know. Her dog recently died and she didn't really know what to do with herself. So she'd found herself doing this job. And I said, "Oh, Trace, how's it going?" She said, "I'm just walking around with heroin in my pocket, waiting to get roughed up by a police officer."
Oh, the excitement.
Right. So, yeah, I am queen of remembering, go estrogen patch. You know what I mean? So I'm so dead grateful. Really am.
I'm loving that. A few things on that, Jane. The
What?
name thing stood out to me because I'm terrible. Give me a class of 30 kids, a day and a half, have it nailed. But there's something in my brain with meeting new people. It just goes, you don't need to remember that name. So if you ever meet me and think, I've met you before, why don't you remember my name? Please, please don't take it personally. And sniff a dog.
Yeah,
You know, Luna, she's not coming in. I tell you, no, she's not allowed in. She causes too much bother. But she did a bit of sniffing in our garden. We do live in a nice area. But one day, Andrew let her out into the garden, and she came back to him with this it's like a sandwich bag, and he was like, "What
mm,
is that?" And it was a tiny little amount of weed, and somebody had
mm.
just, I don't know, spooked or whatever, and stuffed it in the fence. So maybe there's a
Oh.
volunteer role there for me and Luna. Yeah, bit of sniffing around.
Exciting. Yeah, sniffing around. Yeah. Oh dear. It's like, yeah. Well, you smell it everywhere now, don't you? Walking past the kids' lunch boxes and everything.
That's where the teachers stash it. That's what getting you through, everybody. I know some people are going to be on Easter holidays, and some
Oh,
people are on their knees crawling to. Do we call it spring break now? Are we there? We're that American. We call it Easter holidays, whatever. Um,
yeah.
but yeah, yeah. Maybe
Mm.
that's what people have school dogs for now, that they're sniffing around. They're not there for comfort and reading. They're just sniffing out how everybody's getting through. Um,
Oh dear. What's in your lunchbox? Space Raiders or marijuana? Dunno.
Space
Healthy eating,
Raiders.
folks.
What a combination. What a combination.
Oh dear. Exciting, if anything. I don't know.
Oh,
So what are you grateful,
this has got a
babe?
bit different, hasn't it? Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I'm grateful um for Stick It to the Man. My daughter
Oh.
performed last week in her school musical. It was School of Rock. Um,
Oh, mate.
yeah, so it's nice. We had some family come down from Liverpool to watch, who were super proud, and it was just really really nice. And in typical mum style, I had a little tear when she did it.
Oh.
She played Zach, the lead guitarist. Um, so she had a bit of a solo, and I had a little weep, and she was
Oh.
amazing, and that was really nice to share that with family, and have that special moment, and to see her confidence just grow. And it made me think about when we give kids a chance to shine in the area
Yes.
that they want to shine in, the the
Whatever
impact that
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 is.
has is just incredible. She was absolutely knackered. 3
Yeah.
nights performing till 10 o'clock, and then having to get up and go to high school each day. But she was floating on cloud nine, and is kind of talking about what's next. And it
Mm.
just, yeah. So I'm grateful for
But she's
a chance
that's
to
good.
shine, and it made
And
me think
she's
about
only doing,
homework.
yes.
Go on.
God. I was gonna say, a chance to shine as a punk stroke goth sort of vibe. Can she actually play the guitar?
Well, she did used to have guitar lessons, but she doesn't anymore. So all the instruments in there, they were just doing some very clever miming to it. But she has singing lessons, so
Yeah.
she's a damn good singer. But yeah,
Oh,
thinking
good for
about
her.
our homework, where we've asked people to get in touch with us. One
Yes.
of the things that we've said we'd like you to have a little watch of is the Darren McGarvey on
Yes.
BBC iPlayer, the state we're in. Um, and actually, in one of the private schools that they visit, they seek out in the pupils what it is that makes them tick, and give them those opportunities to shine. So it's probably something we can come back to have a discussion on. But hopefully, it just gives our listeners a reminder to have a watch, send us
Oh,
their
good girl,
comments.
you.
It's almost like I'm organised, Jane.
I love that little segue of organisation. Good girl, you. 10 out of 10. Handing out the
Uh,
homework. Love it. Well
I
done.
don't forget to hand out the homework.
No,
When it comes
clearly.
in, I most certainly don't file it in the big red bin. I absolutely mark it.
Good girl.
Maybe homework is something we should discuss at some point. Have you
Yeah,
got a bit? Have you
defo.
got any beef about primary homework?
Well, I just always, it's yes, I do. I just
Let's
think
come back
it's
to that.
yeah, come back to that. I've got too much to say, and it's a little bit gnarly. And
Yeah, I feel a bit
yeah, when I'm not
gnarly about it.
ready, yeah, when I'm not ready, that could go a bit down the pan quite quickly. So let's park that, babe, and I'll get a bit more professional and
Park it
ready
up.
for it.
Have you got a sentence, Jane? Have you got a
Oh, I
sentence for
have.
me this week?
Yeah. I have, and it's about reading actually. And I'm going to try and sum it up as clearly as I can. And it's really I've been thinking about this for a long time, and it's trying to get a really big bold message out there about reading comprehension, basically, and how we get kids to build a mental representation of the text they're reading,
Mhm.
because this is what's going to help us know as teachers, are they on the right lines, and are they comprehending correctly, and have they got a clear sense of how they're doing comprehension monitoring.
Yeah.
It's like, what do you know, kids, and what don't you know? What can you be certain of, and what's a bit vague, or we're
Uh-huh.
not sure. And one of the things we've really got to do is make visible, almost, mind maps, these really sort of clear mind maps. But the problem with mind maps, and once you start using that term of like almost having a mind map of thinking when you're reading, kids are just great at doing a circle and writing the subject in the middle. And then essentially they draw a spider, like they
Yeah.
put 8 legs around it. And it's like, I've now got to find out some facts or some information. And really, the key to the mind map, kind of the mind map way of thinking, is as you read and get information, it's not creating 8 separate legs. It's, well, where are the interconnections?
Mhm.
So it's about the grouping of it that's so critical. And what kids need help with is that authors aren't going to serve all the interconnections up together. All the information about the village isn't going to be all together, in paragraph 2 around line 10. It's not all going to be lumped. It's going to be laced through it. And kids need help with that things are going to kind of echo in and echo out, and then you'll get some more stuff. So really, I just wanted to, I'm only going to read a little bit. I'm going to read a bit from the Nowhere Emporium by Ross, I should say. Ross, as in fish fingers. And I'm only going to read a paragraph, but as I read it, I'm then kind of going to talk about almost like the groupings and how the information isn't all lumped.
You're not
So
going to
this
test
is
my
just
comprehension, are you?
yeah,
Can I
yeah.
just sit
I'm
back
going
and
to test.
relax?
You can sit back and relax, but I'm just going to sort of, there's going to be information to collect,
Okay,
what's
I'm ready.
going on, when is it happening, where is it happening, and who's involved. It's almost like 4 lumps of connectivity. The shop from nowhere. The shop from nowhere arrived with the dawn on a crisp November morning. Word travelled quickly around the village, and by midday the place was abuzz with rumour and hearsay. There were 4 shops in the row yesterday, and today there are 5. Did you hear? It sits in between the butchers and the ironmongers. The brickwork is black as midnight and it sparkles strangely in the light. By evening time, a curious crowd had begun to gather around the mysterious building. They jostled for position and traded strange and wonderful theories about where the shop had come from and what it might sell, all the while hoping to catch a glimpse of movement through the darkened windows. Now, as a
Mm.
reader, as a child, you are bombarded. And the first thing kids have got to do is like, well, what are the meaning loaded words and chunks? And, almost what are the function words like the is, was, it, less loaded with meaning. So, you've got to do that initial sorting. But the what, well, it's a shop. It's a strange shop. That's the core thing. And in fact, the strange shop, the shop from nowhere, is probably the center of this mind map because that's what it's all about. And if you think kids can do that, oh, Heather, you must be joking. Like you read that paragraph and they might be like, oh, it's about black as midnight. No. So
Nice
just
try.
understanding. Oh no, God love them. So like that is the main bit. But then once we know it's about the shop, you kind of go up the. One of the interconnected ideas is time. When did it appear? Do you remember when it appeared, Heather? Were you listening?
Oh no,
Don't matter.
I got the main idea, Jane. I did actually write down mysterious building. I was focused so hard.
Good
I'm
girl.
panicking now, miss. I was listening, miss.
No, but I didn't even make that clear, did I? It's like you've got to kind of pull down when it arrived at dawn, really early in November, and by midday there's a bigger buzz, and all the village are talking about it. And by the evening, there's a crowd gathered trying to look in. So they've got this kind of sense of dawn till evening. But then where is it? It's in the village, and it's in between the butchers and the ironmongers. And
Yeah.
who's interested in it? The villagers. And then what does it look like? Well, the brickwork sparkles and is black as midnight, and it's got darkened windows.
I
So
said it was
none
about
of this.
black as midnight, miss.
Good girl. You remember the poetic bit. 10 out of 10. But
Sorry.
oh, no, you're right. But kids massively need help with that because we think they're taking that down, in terms of kind of logic and connections, and they find it really, really hard. And you can't just say mind map because you're going to get a spider with 8 legs. What
Yeah.
you've got to do is, what order do we collect it? And what are the links and joins? Because that making visual the reader's brain, the reader's mindset, how it's listed in the reading framework, it's trying to make it as clear and as bright and as obvious to kids, so they just become more accurate readers, I suppose.
Absolutely. And I think, like, for me, when you're reading it aloud and I'm listening, I am understanding as we go along. But if you start to ask those questions to unpick it, I need that visually in front of me. Some people can collect it, can't they, when they've heard it
No
audibly?
way.
But
Yeah.
to have it in front of you and to show
Yeah.
children that we need to reread and apply
Yes.
different sieves, as it were, or different lenses,
Yes.
to
Yes.
do that. And it's all about taking that time and guiding them through, isn't it?
Yeah. And you've said it right there, Heather. The science of reading is that kids actually need to read it and read it and read it again. And that going back to it to read it with more of a kind of more insight is so critical, so that they really are able to sharpen up how to be good comprehenders, you know.
And
Um
I think sometimes we get a bit lost in between the research that we know. We know that they need to get reading kind of quantity under their belt to help them develop the skill, but actually the quality and quantity kind of quandary comes in, doesn't it? We need to make sure that they are getting that quality. There's no point reading it, skimming over the surface and not getting much understanding, particularly when we're studying a text together and we've pitched it, slightly above. And we need to
Absolutely.
find a balance. And that's why they pay teachers good money. And that's why it's really hard and we're constantly learning. Because if there was a nice, big, easy answer, everybody would just be doing it and it would be job done, wouldn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. If you go to janeconsidine.com, we have got loads of free unit plans for different year groups, which show that sort of visual representation post reading, so that we can demonstrate it more clearly, like that act. What is the reader's mindset? How do you engage with the text to be kind of very certain that you're not just, it's not getting something in isolation.
Mm.
It's that constant, what definitely have you got, and stops, what kids love to do is saying like weird stuff about texts. Oh man, God love them.
They do, and we kind of have to be nice and smile, but we do have to say that is not in the zone of possibility. It's
No.
not. It's cruel to be kind, isn't it? There's, yeah.
Yeah. So, have you got something pithy and clear and well thought through, Heather? Please say you have.
You've just laid lots of expectation on that, Jane, but I'm going to try. I'm going to try. My sentence is this: the familiar and seemingly tame can give rise to challenge. Um,
Ooh.
uh, Again, this is inspired by my daughter this week. Um, we we had family down and we went out for some nice food and we were at an Italian. And if you follow me on socials, you will notice that I took a photograph of her whilst we were eating, and she was writing in between the courses because she had this idea. Ever since she's been little, when we go, I've always said, I mean, she's nearly 12. I've got to stop saying it like this because it sounds a bit babyish. But if you got your busy bag, she always has had stuff. Of course, she has a phone and she has screens, but I've always encouraged her to have stuff to do. And she's just picked up that habit now. She doesn't need asking. She likes notebooks. She likes to write. She is no saint. I'm not saying that I've, some master mother. I'm certainly not. But she does like to write on it. And when she does it of her own accord, it's a joy, isn't it, that they've seen that. But actually, what she chose to write, she took a familiar picture book that she remembers from when she was little and used that to create her own story. Soup Potato was the text of choice. Now, of course, she didn't have that with her. It's just in her memory bank from all the many, many times that we read
Yeah.
it, drew it, enjoyed it, together. And then I also heard, I love it when teachers go to CPD or Saturday conferences and people tweet or share what's
Yeah.
going on, so we can all take a little layer of it ourselves, even if we've not managed to be there. And
Yeah.
I think it was John Biddle who'd shared that Teresa Kremen, when she was talking at the Open University conference recently, about this shared canon and how important it is as a class to have a shared canon of what's been read so that the book blether can flow. So I was kind of
Yes.
thinking about these two things, about kind of familiar things that we can use with older pupils. Now, I'm sure there are many teachers who listen, who use some of the grittier, darker, deeper picture books
Yeah.
with older
Yeah. Yeah.
readers. Um,
Yeah.
but I think we need to be open to some of those shared texts and the opportunity that they can bring for our older pupils. And we talked last week with our guests from Shropshire Book Fest. And we joked, but it was a real point about the gaming, and kids are taking inspiration from those familiar things that they know about. And the best writing comes from when it's true to the writer, and it comes from them. So taking a familiar picture book can actually raise the bar because they feel confident in it. They've got a structure or an idea to start with. So it was just an idea that I was just going to throw in there. I have brought the S for Super, S for Summer book, and I just thought
cute.
I'd share you a little bit
Yes.
of her writing. It goes on for many pages because she definitely got well and truly into it and illustrated the superhero who is Stuffed Crust Pizza, who is also known as SCP. But the story was entitled, and this is why I told you we were in an Italian restaurant, because
Yeah.
it's called When Garlic Bread Goes Bad. It was another
Garlic
day.
bread.
I've tasted it. It was another day in the supermarket freezer when a thumping echoed through the icy shelves. The chips started to scream. It was the garlic bread. It had gone bad. Green lumps of fluffy mould stuck to the chunky gone-off cheese clinging to its body. This was the garlic bread master, the ruler of all garlic bread, his one desire to cheesify every food in the supermarket. And it goes on, and the superhero is Stuffed Crust Pizza, SCP, and I thought it was pretty good. But it just goes to show that actually, if we give them some scope and they're familiar, some of the language in the text has an idea to float on then, and we can share that across a class. So yeah,
Oh,
don't.
that cheesify. I like cheesifying things.
I mean, the world would be a better place if we just cheesified everything. Not with green lumps of mould, but
Yeah,
yeah.
love it. Oh, do you know
So
the thing I always thought about sweet potato? And put me right if I'm wrong, but aren't the evil vegetables in there peas?
evil
They're
pea,
the
yeah.
nasties, the evil peas. And I always thought that was a bit like, I just don't think it should be the peas. I mean, I think peas are quite sweet, tasting, cute. You know, they're adorable, aren't they? Really. And I just thought, I
But
mean, if there was going to be an
that's
evil
where the
veg,
mix up. Go on, what's your evil veg? Aubergine.
well, absolutely not. That's my favourite. Shut up.
Go
No,
on, I
I'll tell you what.
interrupted.
It's definitely onion, surely, because it makes you cry.
Oh,
And
yeah.
maybe the swede because it's really hard. Do you know what I mean? Bit feisty. So yeah, I'm not, the pesky peas. I just think they're too cute to be evil. I'm not buying it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. But yeah, if you could I'll put you on the spot now. If you could take a familiar favorite picture
Yeah.
book, maybe
Yes.
favorite to your children,
Yeah.
which one would you take and let it inspire you to do some of your own writing?
Well, actually love the violence and always have loved the violence of little rabbit foo-foo, going around, scooping up all the fairies and bopping them on the head, and I
Does
just
that
probably make the
surprise me?
violence. I know, you know, it's a little bit weird. It's you're skipping around the forest, yeah, there's loads of fairies, it's a bit weird and wonderful, and there's violence. Yeah, that's my story.
I can see
Yeah,
loads
yeah,
of kids loving that rabbit foo foo
yeah.
mashup.
Yeah, and the fact that they're called Fufu, and the fact that you'd think, they just seem such a nice little fluffy name. and then they just end up with a big sledgehammer. I mean, it's just perfect. Yeah, I love. I actually do love picture books where you know, my all-time picture book, and yeah, I ended up stalking him, was Oliver Jeffers when that the year that got launched, Lost and Found. No, How to Find a Star. What was his first book anyway?
How to
Yeah, that
Catch a
was.
Star. Yeah.
Thank you, darling. Yeah, that was just of its time. That was groundbreaking, wasn't it? Because the illustrations were just so minimalistic. And I'm actually fascinated actually by blank spaces in picture books. You know, the empty
Oh,
page. Yeah, really, really think they're just high
I think
drama. And you,
there's so much in a picture book, and
mm,
sometimes having the deep discussion about a picture book that you wouldn't necessarily expect to find depth in. It is actually there in the illustration, and
yeah,
you can have lots of
yeah.
inference discussion.
Yeah, the book by Sarah Stewart called The Gardener, when she arrives, she travels on her own and she arrives at the train station in New York on her own, and it's quite grey and industrial back in, you know, the 1930s America, and it's just her, very small in this enormous expanse of kind of dark grey. I just think that's one of my favourite. Well, it's up there anyway. It changes every week, but yeah, I love how picture book authors can use space and you know, perspective. Yeah, wonderful. Yeah,
Definitely.
God. Mm. Your favourites?
Favourite picture book? It does
Oh,
change,
yeah,
but
sorry.
I think my
Yeah.
go-to is Odd Dog Out by Rob Biddulph. I absolutely love that one. Probably mentioned it before, but I just love it. I love the message of it. And I mean, how cute's a sausage dog with a rainbow
Yeah.
scarf on, and a gorgeous rhyme pattern. Mine wasn't as deep as yours, sorry. Not sure if
Oh,
that says
dear.
anything about me, but yeah, I love picture books. Absolutely love picture books. What have you got to
There's a
read
lot
to
of
me, Jane?
sausage dog. Yeah, there's lots of sausage dogs around though, isn't there, lately? Have you noticed? There seems to be a bit, you know, it must be the new trendy breed. They've overtaken French bulldogs, I think. Everywhere I turn, there's a sausage dog. Exciting. One's
I
moved
love
in next
sausage
door.
dogs. Really
Yeah,
cute. They're a bit
yeah,
needy, apparently. Bit needy.
yeah. Oh dear. Yeah, I am going to read something to you. And this, again, this is harking back to something I've moaned about before. And I'm doing a shout out here to all the natural curly hair girlies and boyses, as it were. Because when I was growing up, my mum just did not know what to do with my hair. And she used to cut it short and put a brush through it, you know. Oh, voila. I mean, it was good. Yeah. I mean, I've got some right horrific school photos. But yeah, so it was either just this awful, fluffed up, short buff head style, or if I tried to grow it, it was completely matted underneath. So I've chosen the book by Tola Akwandwu, which is all about Anika. And Anika's hair is extraordinary and it makes strangers stop in the street. And she discovers that her hair, well, it's part of a superpower, and that she can control her hair with her mind. So I'm going to have a little read from this. It's just such, it's so weird, this book, but it's so gripping and wonderful. I love it. So the two sisters are at the swimming pool, which is never a good mix, chlorine and naturally curly hair. So here it opens. Anika! I flinch, a prickle spreading across my scalp as Shanine's impatient voice cuts through the panic rising in me. The already stuffy heat of the changing room grows hotter, and the sharp smell of chlorine stings my nose, and I feel like throwing up. I'm not coming out, I mutter at the thick wooden door separating us. A quick shuffle of feet, followed by a sharp knock. The pool's going to close at this rate. Shanine replies without any sympathy. Have you got it on? I stare at the swimming cap. Mum insisted that I wear it, and it's resting on the floor where I threw it, and I knew it was going to cause me problems. It won't fit, I say. I've tried already. My hair's just too big. Shanine makes a noise that sounds both like a sigh and a grunt. You might call it a strunt. Can't you just ditch it? She says. Oh, I snort back. I know what Mum will do if my hair gets loose or my hair gets wet. Look, she won't find out, Shanine replies, but we both hear the lie in her voice. Mum always finds out. That's her superpower. Yeah, we always find out, Oscar. Yeah, just that's for you, babe. Just so you know. Yeah, just letting you know. That's my 17-year-old. Don't want to talk about it, Heather. Found out.
There you go. Ooh, juicy.
Might have something to do with your fence. No, it doesn't. What?
Moving on. Oh, that's a great book. We that was in our subscription, and also there's a World Book Day. The recent World Book Days is £1 on Yaker title, so it's worth grabbing for schools. And when you showed that book, then I was thinking that's the scene that comes to mind when you wafted it in that swimming pool, and it gets better, that scene as well, doesn't it? I thought I'd better share a picture book with you, seeing as I was going on
raving on about them. Yeah.
About picture books. So I've chosen one of the picture books that's just gone out in our March Reading Rocks teacher subscription box, and I've chosen one of the ones for the early years box by Beach, author illustrator, just known as Beach, which I think is pretty cool, isn't it?
That is cool.
Who created the dragon with the blazing bottom. Not sure if you're familiar with that, but this is Big Bad Dragon Club. I thought it was a club.
A dragon theme coming through.
A club that we might want to be in, Jane, and it's got a lovely rhyme, so I'm just going to read a little bit of it to you. 3 wicked dragons stomping through the wood. 3 wicked dragons up to nothing good. 3 wicked dragons, Scorch, Grub and Fang. 3 wicked dragons, a fearsome dragon gang. We're the Bad Dragon Club, and we're bad as can be. We're rascals and rogues and wrong uns all 3. We're so full of bad, any badder we'd burst. We're the Bad Dragon Club, and we're here to do our worst. Oh, look, said Scorch. What a pretty little sight. A host of happy knights, all learning how to fight. How awful it would be if someone spoiled their game with a big bad burst of blazing dragon flame. But instead of being scared, the knights gave 3 cheers and ran towards the flame with marshmallows on their spears. Hooray for the dragon and his barbecue breath. Please say you'll stay. Our castle needs a chef.
Oh dear. Have you got a big bad dragon in your wall, Heather? Like trying to beat it down?
Yeah, sorry about that. Please ignore the noisy renovating neighbour who is in the Big Bad Dragon Club.
They are now. Oh my God. Tell them to sod off. Oh, so we're doing a podcast. Do you know who we are? Oh my goodness. Well, thank
Shall
you,
I go
Heather,
for the badge?
Yeah. I'll tell you where to stick it, shall I? Lovely.
Email them. Email them next door and tell them to shut up. If you're not going to email us and get your exclusive Teacher Squad podcast badge, email next door.
Oh, we've given lots of badges out, Heather. Yeah, and if you want yours, remember to contact us at Heather at the Teacher Squad podcast.com or Jane at and you won't get a badge. So yeah, exciting. We've had
Yeah,
loads
and
of
yeah, you'll get your badge, and
Karen.
Karen's got a badge, Amy's got a badge on the way. You know,
Good.
there's loads of people. And
Loads.
if you tell us, you know, what you think of the show, and actually,
Yes.
we've been hearing from people that they actually quite like the guest slot. So if people have got a guest to suggest, then that would be a nice email to send, or a topic. Um, Maybe if you're an ECT, or you're going for a new job, it's that kind of time when you're thinking about personal statements and lesson observations for job interviews. Fire some questions our way. We can talk about those. And don't forget about the homework. Got Darren
Yeah.
McGarvey, and also the recent subject report. We're going to have a good old chat about those ready for you after the Easter holidays. Some of you'll still be on your
Right.
Easter holidays, some of you won't be.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a funny one for holidays this time, isn't it, Jane?
Yeah, all good stuff. And if it is about interview questions as an ECT, remember that Heather will be going in role as a very as a headmistress, and I'll be playing the ECT who hasn't prepared, and to give you advice on how to not and what not to say when you go to interview. Anyway, there you go. Well, always a joy, Heather. Enjoy the rest of your week. Are you? What are you? Are you on Easter in holidays? What are you doing?
We'll be on Easter in from Good Friday here. So
Nice.
yeah, a bit of a chilled break. I think there'll be plenty of chocolate, beach
Good.
walks, and picture books. What about you?
Oh, yeah, we're doing a bit of, well, gathering the kids together, and we might even crank up the barbecue if it's not pouring down with rain. That'd be nice. So, yeah, all
Oh,
good
well, yeah,
stuff.
you too will have Big Bad Dragon Club barbecue breath. How nice! What a nice note to leave
Absolutely.
it on.
Yeah, yeah. So it's big love
From Heather and Heartbursts.
from Jane. See you after Easter, everyone. Bye.
See you next term.